You try something, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then that's your best coaching session, because then next time you'll do something differently. Learn how to become part of a team.
Team player.
Yeah, how to be respectful to others and to their coaches. So it's life skills. Yeah. It's just through football. I live in a village. It's got an AstroTurf. I'm a qualified football coach.
What am I doing?
Let's put on a session. So I put on a session, and then that turned into Football Fun Factory. I started a business at a time where there's so many reasons not to, and that's the biggest thing about entrepreneurism as well. There's so many reasons where you just go, but I can't because. My advice would be just do it. Just do it. Just try. Someone said to me, I'd love an hour of your time once a month to talk about what you've done in the last 12 months, because I'm just about to go on that journey myself. I'd give them an hour. Yeah. Spending time with your family. So I give myself a Thursday off every single week. For me, I'm doing it for them. That's my inspiration.
Hello everyone, welcome to Lifeshot. Have you ever wanted to break out, leave the job you're doing now, or perhaps try something new? Maybe it's a new hobby or something and you feel not quite confident enough to do it. Well, I spoke to James Cutting this week, and this is his journey into how he used to do football coaching for Cambridge United, which he loved, and then moved on to a job that he didn't like as much, and then decided to get back into doing what he loved. And perhaps you're in a similar situation where you might be doing a job that is okay. Maybe you used to do a job that you really loved, and now you've gotten yourself in a job that's not the best. How do you get that confidence within to go further, to say, all right, that's it, I'm taking the next step. I'm going to break out. I'm going to get free of these things that kind of limit me, these fears that I seem to have put on myself. Let's get out there and try something new. So today is about just, talking to us about do what you love doing. And even if it's something on the side, like what I'm doing now, I'm doing podcasting and interviews on the side. I've got my day job, and it's just about making a difference where you can. If spreading a message is your passion like mine, then do this. If helping young kids is a passion like what James does, then do that. So it's about pushing you, challenging you guys, go and do what you love doing. Welcome to this week, and I hope you enjoy James Cutting, football coach from the Football Fun Factory.
Hey yo, it's the Lifeshot podcast. Change your world and change the world.
James Cutting, welcome to the Lifeshot podcast.
Thanks very much. Great to be here.
Yeah, good to have you. And for the listeners, James Cutting is a coach, a football coach. Correct. Here in the UK, in Cambridge. I'll let you do your own introduction, actually, James, because you've got quite a history within football and coaching. Do you want to give us a background as to your time with Cambridge United?
I'll try and keep it quite brief. I'll try and sort of skip through the different stages. So started football coaching at a really young age, stopped playing football about 16. Yeah. Realised that I wasn't going to play football to the level I wanted to. Haven't got a sob story like lots of people have got. I've got a bad knee, dodgy ankle, all those kind of things. Just wasn't good enough. Oh, right. So I'm honest enough
Did you come to terms with that?
Yeah, I came to terms with that quite early. And then it was like, right, what's the next best thing you can do? If you can't play, how
you
can
can't get professional, then what do you do?
Yeah, what do you do? So coach. So I turned to coaching at 16, did some volunteer coaching, knew I wanted to be a football coach or be involved in football at some level. So then went off to America to gain some more coaching experience. I was in Chicago and New York, worked for a company out there that employs British coaches.
It's quite like a coaching culture then, America, in that they train a lot of coaches, don't they?
They do, and they like British coaches. You're a bit of a hero if you go over there. If they think we're really good for some reason. But you go over there and you coach and you work for a company. They send out loads of British coaches. You stay with host families and do like coaching camps throughout the summer.
That was in your younger years, yeah?
Yeah, so I was 19. Did that only for about 6 months, like a temporary position really, but gave me opportunity to coach every day to then gain loads of experience. Came back and then began work at Cambridge United Football Club. So sort of tried to force my foot in the door a little bit.
What, did you just knock on the door and say, hey guys, I need a job?
Well, whilst I was in America, I sent a few emails.
Yeah.
contacted all the local professional clubs. I was living in Kings Lynn in Norfolk at the time. Contacted Cambridge, Norwich, Peterborough. I think they all got back to me actually. And had the meeting with Cambridge and then didn't go to the other meetings because I was sold on the place and the people at the time. And they basically said, if you want... So I had no commitments. I came back. I was 19. I was living at home. No real commitments. And it was just like, right, throw yourself into it. So there were some paid coaching hours, but a lot of it was just like, go and volunteer your services, go and get involved as you can. And I was in a brilliant position to do that.
So where were you? Were you living with your parents at the time, or you had to move away from home?
No, I was travelling from Kings Lynn to Cambridge every single day, up and down the A10, which is the worst road in the world.
Oh, you didn't take the train? You took
No, because I needed equipment in my car and all those kind of things. In fact, the first ever coaching session I got was in Baldock in Hertfordshire. So it was an hour and 40 from my house. I got paid about 15 quid for the hour, and probably spent about 40 quid in petrol to get there and back.
The sacrifices we take, right?
Exactly. But it was I wasn't doing it for money. I wanted to do it for the experience and for the opportunities.
Did you think that you had not everyone's privileged enough to be able to just to do what, because actually today's episode we're going to call do what you love doing, right? And it's not necessarily that we want to put guilt on people to say, hey, why aren't you doing what you love doing as a job? But it's do what you love doing, even if it's not your job, you're doing something else outside of work that you love doing.
Absolutely.
So even if you were working, let's say, at some other normal job, but you did football just because you love it. So I think this is the message we want to get across today. It's just, hey, just do what you love doing. If doing what you love doing pushes you outside of your comfort zone to try a different job, then so be it, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so I think you're going to give us a message today about how you did that, how you started your own business and that journey from there. Before we get onto that though, because I've noticed and I've seen you coach, is that I don't know if you know it or not, but you've got some very good skills with young people.
Thank you.
And my wife's a teacher, and so she can pick these things up and say, no, James is a really good coach. And he controls the kids well. So did you learn this by osmosis, like through the years, or was it something that was particular in your training?
Both really. I think as a football coach, the route to become qualified is to go on FA courses. So you do your FA level 1, FA level 2. I did my FA level 3, which is the UEFA B coaching license, which basically qualifies you to coach at youth level at any club in the country, basically. So at Cambridge United, I worked within the academy, but then ran a number of different programs as well there. But the qualifications are great. Been around other people and FA mentors and all that kind of stuff. That's all great. But actually, what really matters is on the ground experience. Throwing yourself into it, watching other people, putting hours in where you go and just watch someone else coach. Ask them a question, why did you do it like that? Why didn't why don't you think about doing it this way?
Did you analyse yourself as well, like afterwards?
Massively, yeah. And that is part of the FA qualifications as well. Yeah. They say you have to assess all of your coaches and be assessed. All of your coaching sessions and be assessed as well. But really, just doing that every single day, every session that you deliver, you then you question everything that you do, and you just learn from success and failures. You try something, it just doesn't work, and then that's your best coaching session, because then next time you'll do something differently, and you'll think, right, I'm not going to do that again. You'll find a way to make it successful. It might be a small tweak that you make.
There's got to be something that, if you think about professional sports, you think about golfers, for example.
Okay.
I mean, the difference between them is so small, right? In that who's going to win the game. Because they're all professionals, they all play very well. Yeah. And in coaching, I think it might be similar, where what differentiates you from being, like one of the top coaches as to somebody, because I think that they're teaching you all these things, right? Like how to assess yourself, be assessed. But how do you think you're going to take yourself to that next level if you want to get there?
Yeah, it depends what the next level is. Most football coaches aspire to work in an academy, probably with a younger age group, gain the experience, then work with an older age group, work with the youth team, maybe work with the first team. Yeah. That's never really been my aspiration. Yeah. I don't particularly, sounds like a funny thing to say, I don't particularly like adult senior football. I don't particularly like the culture and environment that surrounds it. obviously there's some brilliant cultures. You know, I'm sure there's some football teams that do things brilliantly well, but that's never really been my progress route. That's not really what I'm interested in. So my passion has always been around participation, enjoyment, and that leads on to obviously the organisation that we created.
Because it's football fun.
Football Fun Factory, yeah, 3 Fs, Football Fun Factory. So when we sort of explain that to kids who say, okay, what's football? Okay, kick a ball in the goal. What's fun? Run around with a smile on your face. What's a factory? It makes things.
Yeah.
So Football Fun Factory makes football fun.
Okay.
That's the idea. That's the sort of ethos of the organisation.
So, speak about your aspirations then,
Yeah.
for you particularly for Football Fun Factory.
So if I give a brief summary of where we've got to, and then I can talk about where it's going and where it's heading. It's a really good time to ask that question because there's a few things bubbling away. So where have we got to? So I've been working full time on this for 12 months. That's it. 12 months.
Just dedicated to it.
Yeah, and
Fully focused.
Yeah. So I left the job last June. Started running my own business full time. Before that, I had a year, but only really 6 months of the year where I was sort of taking it seriously, sort of building up the business whilst in employment.
Yeah.
And in that year, what we've managed to do is start a number of different football programs for children aged 2 years old, all the way through to 12 years old, boys and girls, all abilities, a number of different programs, evening coaching sessions, Saturday morning coaching sessions, school holiday courses. All of those things outside of school hours, so nothing during the day.
Yeah, because it's focused on children, so...
Yeah, that's it. So we can't do anything during the day unless we go into schools, and that's not an avenue we want to pursue.
It's not? No, okay.
It's not. So within that, it's been building up those programs. I live in Red Lodge near Newmarket. We've got a whole host of programs that we run there. But we've also built up other communities, Football Fun Factory communities, as I like to call them, in St Ives, Camborne, Waterbeach, all of these areas sort of close, surrounding Cambridge, basically, without being in Cambridge itself, actually. So the idea is that I run my area, my Football Fun Factory community. I've sort of created a bit of a blueprint and business model for that, and then the idea is that we'll replicate that. So we're at the moment creating a franchise model in that we'll have other head coaches, as I sort of term myself. I'm the head coach of the Football Fun Factory community of sort of Suffolk area, really. Okay. And we want to create that working from Cambridgeshire outwards. So Cambridgeshire, Suffolk, Norfolk, Hertfordshire, Essex, all of those areas. Eventually, we could have one of those in all counties of the country. So that's the aim. And the reason for that aim is as simple as I know the benefits that the programs that I deliver bring to a fair few hundred children. But actually, if we could do that for hundreds of thousands of children, then that's a game changer. So that's what we're looking to do.
So why? What are the benefits and why?
What are the benefits? So football's an interesting game because you've got football participation for children, and then you've got football participation for the children's parents.
And go on.
And it's a really interesting one, and we could easily do a podcast, I'm sure, on parenting in football, which would be a really interesting one. So less than 0.5%, so less than 1% of children that participate in football then go on to become a professional footballer. Less than 0.5%.
Wow. Especially in this country because it gets taken over by the other internationals.
That's it. And there's challenges around that. And again, there's another topic of conversation. But so loads of kids have the aspiration to play football, and they see their idols on TV. They watch Tottenham play or whoever, and they're inspired by that, and that's great. That's brilliant. And they aspire to become a professional footballer, perhaps. But the opportunity is actually minuscule. It's tiny. Even the most talented might not necessarily make it. So my ethos is that every single one of those children can have fun. Every single one of those children can develop social skills. Every one of those children can enjoy themselves, make their parents proud, learn how to become part of a team.
Yeah,
how
team
to
player.
how to be respectful to others and to their coaches. So it's life skills.
Yeah.
It's just through football. So that's you could almost strip away the fact that it's football. Football is almost for us the vehicle of child development rather than football development.
Yeah.
It's just that, and the reason it's football is because there's such a huge passion for it. So it's a combination. It's almost like child development through football. And there's all of those life benefits and life skills that it brings.
Have you seen that? Because my son goes to one of your classes.
He does.
And I'm just thinking of his development. Yeah, I could see his improvement in the game itself.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's hard to measure when they're that young. Maybe is it more measurable as they get a bit older?
So what's really interesting is, so I've been involved in academy football, right? Academies in England start at the under 9 age groups. That's 8-year-old children playing football that, play for a local professional club or whatever. The worst player in the under 9s team, by the time they're 18, old enough to sign a professional contract, could be the best player. They might have had a really early growth spurt. They might hit 12 and be tall and gangly and uncoordinated.
Yeah.
But they might end up being the best player as they grow into their body when they're 16, 18, 20 maybe even. There's players that released by professional clubs, drop down the leagues, play non-league football and then rise back up at 25 years old. There's all sorts of stories.
There's no set way that it happens. It just...
No. And it's so immeasurable, really. It's a skill to know talent levels and spot progress. I would say the best way of measuring a child's success or development within football would actually be their progress rate rather than their level of talent. So if, for example, they could hardly kick a ball 6 months ago, but now they've got good levels of technique, they might still be, horrible term, but the worst player within the group of children.
But still, he's a lot better than, or she's a lot better than what they were.
But because of the progress rate that they're going on, they might end up being the best player in 10 years' time.
Right.
And that's the thing. It's such a long game. It's if you do want to become a professional footballer, and if that's the outcome, it's a really long game. It's a long journey from 6 years old to 20-something years old.
So behavioural changes, though. I mean, I'm sure there must be many topics and discussions about this of how it actually helps kids who might be struggling in school. Maybe they're not so good at academics, and then they find some kind of meaning or purpose in football, and what it does for their person, for themselves.
I think it's the structure that it brings. So you'll have seen your son comes along on a Saturday morning, and the session that he's within is like 3-4-year-old children, and they're at the start of the session. So they have a free play, 10 minutes at the start where they come in, enjoy themselves, kick a few balls around. That's to settle them into the environment. At that point, you'll notice that we always bring them in and sit them down. That's not because we want to go, we're the coaches, we're in charge, and we're the boss, you've got to listen to us and all that kind of thing. We do that every single week religiously because those children then get used to structure. They get used to the fact that they have to show respect and they have to listen. And if another child's talking and answering a question, they need their eyes on that child because they might have something valuable to say. So it's those kind of like social skills, life skills that come out of it, and those kind of benefits that it brings, really.
That's good. James, I mean, I looked at, you gave me a bit of history of your past, and you worked for Cambridge United football, and you were into youth development, and I think that's, from what I gather, you really enjoyed that piece. Then you got a different job within the same company, and you didn't really enjoy that because it was taking you away from what you loved, right? So tell us about that little journey between changing jobs and then saying, hey, screw this, I want to...
Okay, so the process for me was, so from the job that I loved at Cambridge United to where I am today, literally went in probably 4 steps. Went the job that I love and got loads of passion for and get up for every day and like I'm really motivated for. A promotion into a senior role that was glitzy and glamorous.
You thought it was good at the time.
And sold to me as, wow, what an amazing thing to do. And it was a brilliant thing to do for someone that's got a passion to then have a job in management and business and all those kind of things.
I bet they taught you something there, didn't it?
Oh, massively. don't get me wrong, I'd never have any regrets in anything that I do in life, because it will have taken me on a journey that made me realise actually who I am and what's important to me and what my passions are. So took that job, did that for a year and a bit, worked across business development across the whole football club, hospitality, retail, ticketing, loads of different things, loads of different sectors and markets that I've not been involved in, and learnt a load of lessons along the way. Probably realised that actually I couldn't have as big an impact in those areas as I could within what I could term my area, which is giving amazing football experiences to kids. So did that, realised that actually I probably made what I'd term a career-defining mistake in taking that job, because then realised that I'd lost my passion.
How soon did you realise that?
Pretty soon.
Really?
Pretty soon, and then probably spent 9 months, 12 months coming to terms with it. Then
thinking, what should I do? Struggling with yourself.
Yeah, a little bit, and then from that point, then left. I'd been there 9.5 years, so I'd literally had one organisation that I worked for, apart from 6 months in America.
You were part of the furniture there, weren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd literally grown with the football club from a non-league club to getting promoted to playing Man United in the FA Cup. Quite a really good period of history for the club.
Yeah.
I went on a journey of growth at the same time the football club did, and that was really good for me. Took a job completely outside of football, and actually what I was seeking at that time was the next stage, which was to be somewhere different and to be around a different organisation, different structure. That taught me so many things, because football's incredibly fast-paced, 60, 70 hours a week. It borders on ridiculous on your lifestyle.
Really? Well, in all aspects of the club, as in no matter which part of the club you're working for, it's pretty much...
It's nuts. I can't even begin to explain what the football industry is like. It's nuts at a professional football club. Brilliant, and the best learning curve I could ever have hoped for. But that's all I knew. From age 19 to 29, that's all I knew. So to take a step outside of that, to work for another organisation, I actually worked for the National Trust, a charity that looks after special places across the United Kingdom, protects the heritage of the country. I was a consultant for them, and the reason why, probably my CV was that how I got that job, I have no idea.
Yeah, because it's like football, National Trust.
Yeah,
football.
Random. It's seemingly random, but the reason why they gave me that job is because they could see that I have passion for a cause, so I could speak passionately about the cause that I had within football, and I could transfer that across to the passion of the cause of protecting the country's heritage. So worked for them, worked there for a year, realised that I missed football, and I missed the opportunity, giving opportunities to kids and creating a big impact.
So you moved away almost totally from working with kids, because the National Trust, it's families, but you're probably speaking to adults most of the time in that type of job,
absolutely, right? Absolutely. And there's an internal job, so I was only dealing with people within. I was like an internal consultant, so people within the company, in effect. But so I then had probably a couple of years at Cambridge, not coaching. Another year in that job, not coaching, and then I started a 1-hour coaching session on a Friday night at Red Lodge Sports Pavilion.
Well, you just thought, no, I've got to get back into this.
I thought, do you know what? I live in a village. It's got an AstroTurf. I'm a qualified football coach.
What am I doing?
Let's put on a session. So I put on a session, and then that turned into Football Fun Factory.
Oh, we've got to hear more about that. Hold on. So this is, we do what you love doing. Yeah. That's what we're talking about today. So let's go back to that. Okay, so you're in this job, but again, we're not telling everyone, listen, quit your job and do what you love doing, because it's not easy, right? Some people,
it's not as simple as that.
Yeah, they might want to go parachuting, and how are you going to make a living from that, right?
Absolutely.
but
you can.
Yeah, you probably could. I think people do need to try to chase. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow. It doesn't have to happen next year. For me, I've always been into media, and then I stopped doing media, and now I think I want to get back into it, and that's why I'm doing this. And I've got aspirations of where I want it to go, but I just got to enjoy every moment, you know,
Absolutely.
we're doing it, like enjoying this moment right now,
Yeah.
enjoying the moment when it goes out,
Yeah.
and just not thinking about, oh, when it gets there, then I'm going to be happy type thing. So
Yeah.
for you and your coaching, how do you, you know, how did you follow that passion? Did you decide? I want to get to into your head about that decision you made, about saying, hey, this is it now. I'm gonna just do the football fun factory.
Well, there's an awful lot of good fortune that's sat beside that. So the journey went up from there is start a 1 hour coaching session in a village with 2,000 people in it. Put on the session and it was full.
Really? Like what, 10, 15 kids?
With 15 kids. So 1 hour coaching session, it was full. It was actually a session, I just thought, you know what, let's just open the age range, 5 to 12. And we had a first ever coaching session. We had a 5-year-old girl who'd never played football before who really struggled, to be honest. And we had a 12-year-old boy who was really talented.
Oh no, that's just like totally like the opposite of it.
Somehow we made it work. And somehow, you know, we obviously, that's the skill of coaching then. How can you create a session where you can do something where each individual can gain something from it? And so put on that session, that worked. Put another hour in place, that became full. Started to think, okay.
How did you market that? You just...
Facebook groups.
Yeah? You just said, hey, I'm putting a thing on. And
yeah, people...
The village groups are pretty powerful, though, aren't
yeah,
they?
Because
people are like always looking at those village groups,
And if people see something that they're not interested in, they'll tell someone that will be interested in it, and they'll tag and copy people and all those kind of things, So started that. We now have 150 children in Red Lodge alone that train and participate with the Football Fun Factory.
So going from, that's like a 10-fold increase.
Yeah, so that's happened over the course of a year, and there's a finite number of children that are going to end up, you know, that's not going to keep growing. We're not going to have 1,000 because there's not that many people. Yeah. Although it's a developing area. Every time they build more houses, I'm like, yeah great. So it's that's what happened there. I was then really, really fortunate that I was in a job where I had a good relationship with my boss and good relationships with the people in the organisation.
Talking about National Trust,
Yeah,
oh, right,
yeah, it's a National Trust. So they offered unbelievable personal development opportunities. Like it blew me away how there's training courses, just CPD programs that you just went on, all sorts of things all the time. It was like, wow, got more training next week. Brilliant. And I'd never been in that environment. I'd gone from a job where I had none of that in 10 years to that thrown at me every couple of weeks.
So during your Cambridge United football, that was almost, you had to develop yourself in your coaching.
Yeah, it was too fast paced to even stop and think about your own development, because you would think about the development of the company. So yeah, it was too fast paced. And to be fair, the club had been on such a upward trajectory itself that there was no time to stop and think. It was like a start-up business. Yeah. Which was handy.
I was going to ask you about that, but I suppose we're going off topic.
We could easily, yeah.
So the National Trust gave you this personal development thing, which is awesome, and then that helped you, right? So
National Trust gave me loads of opportunities to develop myself. Yeah. I was also in a job where I was massively out of my comfort zone, because I was in an industry and organisation that I knew nothing about. It's the most complex organisation in the world, I think. It's just nuts. So it was brilliant for my development. Just missed that football fix and that child development fix that I needed. I could have easily stayed there and had a 10-year career there, easily, and been very happy doing that. But the bit of good fortune I was talking about was that I had an honest and open conversation with them, and they said, well, if that's your passion, we want to keep you here as long as we can, but we want to support you in your aspirations. So they allowed me to set some stuff up outside of my working hours. They even tailored my working hours slightly so that I could then get to the sessions on time. They allowed me to book holiday to run school holiday courses. And then it built itself up to a point where we were just keeping in constant dialogue, and they just said, okay, we want to keep you for as long as possible. Would it help if you went part-time? And obviously, when you're talking about someone having a passion and then doing that for a living, the biggest jump from there to there is, but I've got to pay myself. I need a salary. I've got to pay my mortgage. Yeah. Like, I was in the fortunate position where I was building up a business at the same time as I then became part-time in my job, so that basically they helped me transition from full-time employment into full-time running my company.
So as you're saying this, I'm thinking there might be opportunities for people who are listening to do something similar.
Absolutely.
Because I think most of my listeners would probably either have a job or be self-employed. So that's a fortunate position that you're in, and it all worked out. Yeah, so I'm just thinking like some people could do that. So if you follow your passions, and even if it's just a hobby, and you want to turn it into a business, then just transition slowly. Do you think?
Transition slow. I wouldn't always necessarily say slowly, but certainly transition at the rate at which you need to. So that could be quite a quick transition. It might take 5 years to do it. The biggest thing I would say is it then comes down to hard work, because I was doing a full-time job.
Bit of sacrifice somewhere.
Yeah. And
social sacrifice.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because it was then, I was doing my 40 hours a week, which felt like a part-time job to me, having been at Cambridge for 10 years.
70 hours a week.
So I was like, I've got all this spare time. So then in the evenings and at weekends, I was then setting up my sessions and running my programs, and then taking holiday, but then working it, running my business. So
were you married at this time?
Yeah. So
your wife's like, when am I going to see you?
Right. So there's two big things here, right? So there's two things. People think, right, I'd love to be able to follow my dream and just start up that business, and they think they have to jump from full-time employment to running a business, and I can't make that jump, because how can I make enough money to pay my mortgage next month? Yeah. When I went on that journey from employed to self-employed, effectively, I did that at a time where I'd not long bought a house for the first time, just got married and spent a load of money on a wedding, and we're about to have a baby at the time. So we've got a 6-month-old now. So if you can do it in those circumstances, then it's possible to do, and you don't have to jump from A to B. You just have to put the graft in, and you just have to work really, really hard and do things in your own time.
I suppose people need to know that what they're going to do is they're not going to give up on. So, for example, you might have an idea to do something that you love doing, but you think, well, I love doing a lot of different things. Which one should I choose? But for you, fortunately, it was like football coaching was your thing, right? So I think people just need to assess in their minds, listen, what do I really love doing? What could I turn into a business?
Yeah.
And then just go with that, and kind of like stay dedicated to that path. Once you decided, maybe stick on that, do you think?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you can't just throw yourself everywhere, can you? No.
And I think I'm fortunate that I've had one real passion. And sometimes people, they're passionate about a number of different things and think they would like to run a business I could run a business in this. I'm fortunate I've had one burning passion, and that's me. That's just me. That's what I've wanted to do. I think that the first question you have to ask yourself is it a viable business?
Yeah.
I knew that it was, because I'd pretty much already done what I do now in a job for a number of years.
There's definitely a market for it. There's people wanting football training. Parents want to send their kids.
There's so if you take each program, school holiday courses, to some we don't really market as this, and we don't really want it to be this, but to some it's childcare in the school holidays. I hate to think that, but it is.
Do you do like all day course?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, 9 to 3:30, and it's like a school day. And effectively, for some working parents, that makes it's a bit of a godsend. It's a solution. Luckily, the children come along and have a great time, and they want to come back. So even better for the parents. But it's more than just a childcare service, and we don't really like to think of it as that. But to some it is. That's never going away. In fact, there's going to be more demand for that than ever before, because people are busier and busier in their lives. Football is just the national game. People love it, and people have got a real passion for it, and kids love playing football. When people inquire about the TOTS program that we run on a Saturday morning, the first thing they say is, she loves kicking a ball around in the garden, therefore want to bring him to this session, because they just find that that's their child's passion at that time. Yeah. And it's up to us to then just harness that passion. So the markets that we operate in, football coaching and an aspect of childcare, are not going anywhere. There's nothing that's going to happen. There's no recession. There's no Brexit. There's no whatever.
It's not a fad. It's not some kind of
It'll be here in 50 years, 100 years, 200 years time. And if anything, I think that every aspect of business is becoming more experience led, in my view. So like, what do people want to do for an evening with their friends? Or they want to go to escape rooms and they want to have an experience rather than go out for dinner, maybe. And people are going veering more towards experiences than they are just the norm. And I think that the way that we do our sessions, it lends itself more to the experience market because it's football with a twist. It's not just a football coaching session. It's a session inside an inflatable pitch with a giant football, an inflatable goal, and a football dartboard, and all these kind of things that nobody else really does. And that's the USP of the organisation. So all of those things are never going away. So I knew it was a viable business. So because I'd had that absolute confidence, my mind was made up that I can do this. Yeah.
In that sense.
Which is a fortunate position to be in.
Yeah. The tech, you spoke about this is a good time for people to take the plunge, really.
Yeah.
I don't want to go along the line saying everyone should start their own business, but even if it's just a side business, and you're happy to do your other job, the tech that's available to us nowadays is just so good. Although it does take a bit of money to start up, because I'm building my own website now, which is, although I've got big plans for it, it's costing a bit more money than.
Yeah.
But tell us about these little tech tips that you can give entrepreneurs starting, because you've just started a year ago.
So the biggest thing I would say is that you can run a business from a smartphone. You don't, depending on the business, you don't necessarily need a laptop. And that sounds like a crazy thing to say. How can you run a business without a computer? But I do a fair amount of my work on my phone, and that's the way that sort of entrepreneurism is going. You can capture, edit, and upload your social media content from your phone. You can answer your emails from your phone. You can use free apps that create. Capture 5 videos throughout the day, put them into an app, and it creates a video for you. Okay. We use loads and loads of free apps, or we use apps that we pay 99p a month for or whatever, and they do brilliant things. My advice would be just to do your research, and in terms of just look at just download loads of apps and try them all out and see which ones work best for you. But yeah, I literally use the same. I've got a photo editing app that put text over photos. iPhones now capture brilliant content in terms of the quality. Photos and videos, you can have blurred backgrounds and all sorts on the new iPhone and stuff like that. And yeah, like there's a fantastic app that we literally select photos and videos from a day. We have a school holiday course. We capture loads of content throughout the day on a phone. We put it into an app, and it makes a 1-minute video that looks like it's professionally made.
There's AI just right there in operation.
Absolutely brilliant. So my advice would be, so obviously I talked about, I started a business at a time where there's so many reasons not to, and that's the biggest thing about entrepreneurism as well. There's so many reasons where you just go, but I can't because, and for me it was, just got married, just bought a house, about to have a baby, can't do it. It's mental, it's crazy. Yeah. Like, what if I can't pay the mortgage next month? What am I going to do? So if someone's 19 years old, if they were me, just before I went to America or whatever, living at home with no commitments, no mortgage, their phone bill might be the only thing that you have to pay or whatever it might be, then my advice would be just do it. Just do it. Just try.
I wonder if it's the confidence in being able to say, well, I might not be the best coach. I suppose confidence comes over time. Yep. But there you may find some younger people who are more confident than others.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because for like me, like if I want to become the expert in my field, I'm thinking, what field am I an expert in?
Yeah.
I know what I'm good at.
Yeah.
I'm good at fitness. I'm good at strength training. I'm good at I know a lot about nutrition, and and I know about meditation and all that kind of thing. But I'm thinking, well, am I really a professional in this field? And I suppose it's just about finding that confidence within yourself as a young person and saying, you know what, I can do this.
Yeah.
And maybe they lack mentors. Maybe they lack
so.
people like yourself who would be able to say, hey, you can do this.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, that goes on at different levels because, you know, I'm someone sitting here in my first year of business. So absolutely, if there was a young, aspiring entrepreneur, I could sit down with them having a chat and sort of mentor them or whatever. But also that's something that it's almost like something that I've identified for me, that I need to find a mentor and I need to find a coach and people to develop me. And I think that's just, I think that's something that people are opening their eyes to a lot more now, that those people are really, really valuable, because the biggest thing about doing what I do now is, so the most exciting thing at the moment is that when we begin to franchise and sort of expand across the country, I'll be doing that with a business partner, and I'm really, really looking forward to doing that because it will be the first time where I can actually collaborate with someone other than my head. So
have you found someone like a venture capitalist or something?
Not even that. It's just someone that basically I've known really well for a while. They're going to come on board. They're going to help me run the whole thing, and they're better at some stuff that I do well than I am.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. Surrounding yourself with really good people. And when people talk about a coach or a mentor, it doesn't necessarily have to be someone you pay loads of money to be able to do that for you. It could just be someone that you respect, or someone that your dad works with that's got experience in doing what you do, or starting their own business, or something like that.
So I think one thing I've learned is that if you want to find a mentor, look for somebody and serve them and ask what you can do for them.
Yeah.
So instead of hey, I'm looking for a mentor, can you help me? It's like, you know, let's say I'm a young 19-year-old and here's James, and James, how can I help you? You know, can I help you coach on there? So for young people listening, or people who are looking for a coach, it's go and serve, and help those people that you aspire to.
Yeah, and that's all experience, isn't it? It's like me talking about when I first began at Cambridge United, young 19-year-old coach. What did I do? I went and watched as many coaching sessions as I could, because all the coaches there were better than I was. So what I had to do was go and watch them. So on that trip to Bulldog that I was talking about, that cost me more money to do than I actually earn, on the way home, I'd then take a detour and stop and watch the academy train for 3 hours and then get home. So my 9 hours working day was that cost me money was actually my personal development. Yeah, it was my opportunity to go and see UEFA qualified coaches at work. And that's what I needed at that time. So yeah, it's a compliment, isn't it? If someone said to you now, I know you got a podcast lined up with James later on in the week, I'd love to sit in and watch it and just see how it works.
Yeah, that would be a compliment.
Yeah, it'd be a compliment to you, and I'm sure you'd say to someone, absolutely, why not?
Yeah, sure, push the buttons on the camera, please.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. If you could help us out, that'd be great. So all those kind of things. So if someone is thinking about, I'd love to run a business, I know what my passion is, that's what I want to do, but I don't think I'm ready yet, and I need to gain experience, just ask people, because people will take it as a compliment. If someone said to me, I'd love an hour of your time once a month to talk about what you've done in the last 12 months, because I'm just about to go on that journey myself, I'd give them an hour.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As long as, you know, they were respectful in the way that they position that.
Because you want to give back, don't you?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I wish someone would have done that for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true, right? Because you're like, oh, I'll just do it for this guy. So James, just to end off today, thanks for being with us. Before you go, I just want to know, what does your day look like? Do you have a routine in the morning that you do, or maybe it's not a routine, but you know, how do you invest in yourself personally at this point, besides football and business? Do you invest in yourself in other ways? Yeah.
So one of the most important things that I do is get up and go to the gym. And you might say, what's that got to do with running the business? I think it gets you into a mindset, gives you headspace. So I drive to the gym, it takes me 10 minutes to get there. I've got that time in the car. I'm in the gym for 45 minutes, an hour. It gives me time to think. And actually, it's the one place where you can get the results and rewards as an outcome of your work, guaranteed.
So you can see the physical rewards, or
Yeah. So you go to the gym,
No.
you work hard, you get fitter.
Okay.
It's a really simple process. You can't really break that model. Now in business, it's a bit more difficult than that. You work really hard and you might not get the results.
Not
But
straight away.
in the gym, you can. So I find it a really good way to get into a positive mindset for the day. Don't do that every day. I wish I had time to do that every day, but at least 3 times a week. So I go and do that. I'm fortunate that I work from home, so I'm able to. I think that's a nice environment to be in, where it feels more relaxed. It's not so formal. I don't have to get up and don't have to iron a shirt to put on. I can get up at 7 o'clock and I can be working at 7:02.
Yeah. You don't have to drive anywhere. You just
that's
walk
it.
to the office.
So down the stairs.
Next door.
Yeah. So so investing in myself is something I probably need to do more of, and you need to find time to do that. Reading books, I think is really important. Again, for me, something I'd love more time to do.
And books of different things, not just business books, but
Yeah.
books on spirituality or whatever it is
Absolutely,
that you're into.
Yeah. Books about passion and how to, what your goals might be and all those kind of things. So I think that everything you do in life can apply to business, actually. So I think it's the one thing that we can go, or spending time with your family. So I give myself a Thursday off every single week.
Okay.
Yeah. What does that do for me? Well, so the reason why I want to be successful in business now, for me, I'm at a new stage in my life. I've got a 6-month-old, a wife that I married a couple of years ago, and for me, I'm doing it for them. That's my inspiration. So then having, on a Thursday, we go to swimming lessons, take my daughter to swimming lessons, and it just reminds me all the time of when it's getting really hard on a Wednesday night and I'm on an AstroTurf and it's freezing cold and it's raining. I know why I'm doing this.
Yeah. That's so cool. And while you were saying, I was just thinking, there's always a question why. Simon Sinek said it. Why? And the why you've answered earlier, and you said you want to help kids have fun playing football, and it's for their development. And at the same time, the why is also for you personally, for your family, spending more time together. So there's more than just one why, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah. There's 5 according to Simon Sinek, and
is it 5? Is it
the 5? Well, he said 5 whys and goes into all that. But I think it was him. It might have been someone else. But yeah, it's the why. But then also having the discipline of when it gets tough, when things don't go as well as they could do. One thing you need is resilience, and I think that's so important because when you are, paint the worst possible picture. So I'm running a football coaching business, and football is my passion, but we haven't got the numbers on the courses that I needed to get to run my business effectively. I'm standing there on an AstroTurf. The kids don't want to listen tonight. They're not interested. It's freezing cold. It's raining. And at the end of the session, I've got to pack all this stuff away by myself, put all the goals away, get into my van and drive home. Doesn't sound as glamorous, does it? As I've sat here, and sat with you for half an hour to talk about what sounds like a really glamorous, brilliant way of life. And it is, and it will be for me. But none of that is possible without resilience and hard work. And
you have to go through the slog sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you go through that slog literally every single day. And there's so many ways where you could go, well, somebody's offered me a job, and do you know what? I could just take that 9 to 5 and get my holidays and whatever else. But if you've got real passion for it, I think you'll stick at it, and that's the key.
Chris Ducker says that being an entrepreneur can be a lonely business.
Oh, so lonely, so lonely. Yeah. And that's, as I said earlier, when I've got someone on board to come and work with me on it, I can't wait, because it's literally someone I can have a conversation with. It is very lonely, very, very lonely. And again, that takes resilience to say, well...
It's not always going to be like that.
No, yeah. You'll get there in the end.
Yeah. James Cutting, been great having you.
Pleasure.
Football Fun Factory. I wish you all the best in the future.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for being on the show.
Cheers, pleasure.
All right.
Cheers, Clint.
Yep.